Maybe now? How about now? Are we live now? I think we're live now. A little bit early. Was going to wait till 9 a.m., but it's 8:56, and I feel like I'm a little crooked there. So, today's Tech Talk Tuesday, it's going to be about fuel economy. I was thinking, you know what? With fuel prices, we might as well just talk about fuel economy. How do we save fuel? Can we save fuel? Is there anything to do when you got a big rig? Got a big rig, aka large vehicle, to save fuel? And of course we can. And hey, we got 15 people already. So I can start talking. Thanks for joining in, guys. I want to make Tech Talk Tuesday live at 9 a.m. a common thing, regular thing if I can, because, it's good to be regular. So that's why, anyways, that's another topic for another day. But yeah, you know what? With fuel prices all over the world going up, I thought it would be a good idea to talk about how can we save fuel? Because at the end of the day, you guys have heard me say it before. With a truck, you can only make so much money. You got to haul, you got to rate. Actually, even if you get a percentage of whatever it is, there is no ways to get a raise or a boost or whatever. But if a guy can save a little bit of fuel, you know what? It's what you put in your pocket. So cutting costs is critical. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about things we can do to save fuel. Josh Bulldog 3611 says, "Hey, Peterbilt Mike, PACCAR MX-13 versus Cummins X15. Which one is best for fuel economy?" That's a tough question because it depends on the engine. I.e., Cummins has the efficiency engine. They've got the productivity series engine. They've got the performance series engine. Now, the MX-13 is designed for fuel economy right out of the gate. You guys have heard me talk about the MX lots. PACCAR's big on, let's face it, the largest market is line haul, van work, coast to coast, down the interstates. And interestingly enough, those of you that know that I'm on allocation, we have to have a certain percentage of MX engines. And that is because in Canada, we have to meet our greenhouse gas targets. And the MX engine actually scores better for greenhouse gas than Cummins. And it's basically due to fuel economy numbers. But that being said, the Cummins engine, X15 efficiency, does get great fuel economy. And depending on the transmission you put behind it, can make all the difference in the world. So the efficiency X15, and I hope I'm not getting a little bit too off topic, but the X15 efficiency series, it is designed to work best with automated transmissions. So with that, their top RPM is 1700 RPM. So if you take an X15 500 efficiency series and drive it with a manual transmission, you're probably going to be disappointed because your max RPM is 1700. So that's where, if it's Cummins, you want to go with a productivity series for fuel economy if it's a manual transmission. Technically a manual transmission with the efficiency Cummins would work as well. But as a driver, you're going to be disappointed by that performance. So whereas the PACCAR X15, it's geared to run slow, and it drives very much like a Cat. So if you've ever driven a Cat, it's very, very similar. The torque is made down low. The jakes are kind of weak, compared to Cummins. That's one thing Cummins has is stronger jakes. But anyways, this isn't talking about, well, I guess it is kind of talking about fuel economy, but careful, your dealer technical manager is watching. Hello, James. Shout out to James, that James guy. If you guys haven't already subscribed to that James guy on YouTube, search him out. He's a pretty smart guy, just saying. He's rebuilding cars and doing fun things. So yeah, check out that James guy on YouTube. So fuel economy tips and tricks. To begin with, shut your truck off. You know what? If you're at the fuel island, just shut it off. If you're going into the scale, shut it off. If you stop for fuel, if you run in to get a coffee, just turn it off. You know what? A starter, and I don't know what a starter is worth now, but let's say a starter's worth $750. If you run into the store to pick up your coffee and you shut your truck off and it doesn't idle for 15 minutes, and say your truck burns, well, okay, now I'm loading myself in the chute because I'm going to reference numbers that I don't know. But anyways, shut your truck off because there's no sense in idling it. And what's the worst that could happen? You wear out your starter. And honestly, I don't know too many people that have worn out their starter to where they crap out. I mean, generally they crap out due to age. So tip number one, just shut your truck off. And that's why the new trucks, you can get them with the idle shutdown timer. And it's pretty much standard because it works. And there's no sense in letting your truck idle when you don't need to. So that's my number one tip, is just shut your truck off. And I know you guys are going to be surprised by this, but when I used to stop for fuel, sometimes I would go in and BS for an hour. And if I was leaving my truck running, it just sits out there and idles for an hour. And it doesn't do your engine any good because you know what? It just slobbers and doesn't make any heat and doesn't do it any good. So it's actually better for your engine to shut it off, start it up. Once you have oil pressure, start driving. Because that also goes for when your truck is cold, because and this comes from old school, you can read the books and tips and tricks from Cummins back in the day. But when you get going in the morning, the best thing you can do for your engine is to get it up to temperature. The quickest way to get it up to temperature is start making it work. Now, when I say make it work, I don't mean start, pulling great big heavy loads and, well, I mean, I guess you would pull a heavy load, but basically once you have oil pressure, you've got air pressure, it's okay to start driving. You just ease into it. You know what? And it'll warm up quicker that way. And the quicker your engine gets up to operating temperature, the better it is for it. But fun fact, a lot of engines back when the Cummins ISX had all its issues back in, say like 5 years ago. And in the oil patch up north, there was lots of issues where, guys were saying, geez, the Cummins is rah, rah, rah. It blows up after 9,000 hours or whatever. But the other thing in the oil patch is there was lots of idling. You've got PTOs, you've got guys sleeping in their trucks when it's cold. And the worst thing you could do for it is idle it, because there again, your engine's not staying up to temperature and it's just not good for it. So that's my number one tip. Just shut it off. Tip number two, just slow down a little bit. It's a tough one to do. Oh yeah. I mean, I'm as guilty as anybody. I like to go when I can go, but you know what? Just dropping your speed by even, a couple miles an hour, if you can do 55 and you're not in a huge hurry, you'd be amazed at how much fuel you save driving at 55 versus 65. And granted, I know that isn't available or easy to do everywhere, but, like in Canada, where we have kilometers per hour, if you're a guy that likes to run at 110 and you dropped it down to say even 100, which is a posted speed limit, excuse me, I think ideal is like 95 or 98 kilometers an hour. It saves fuel. You don't really notice it. The hard part is, a guy wants to go and you like to set the, generally a person in a vehicle like to set the cruise at like 110, just a little bit over, just a little bit over that margin of error so you don't get a ticket. But yeah, just reduce your speed a little bit and you'd be surprised at how much fuel you can save. And the other thing, tip number 3, is drive according to what your engine is. You want to do a little bit of research and find out whatever engine it is, whether you got PACCAR, Cummins, Detroit, Volvo, Scania, I don't know, where your optimal RPMs are, where your torque meets your horsepower, and they kind of do this. Because if you shift your gears and keep your truck working at its optimal spot, you're going to get your best fuel economy. Fun fact, a couple people I know that work for the same company, they had 2 trucks, identical, hauling logs. And on the north side of town, coming into town, there's a hill, and one feller, older feller, good driver, he would pull the engine down. Now these are just just for reference, these were Cummins engines, 565. I think they're 2050 torque, not 100% sure. 18-speed transmissions, hauling logs. So they were at 140,000 pounds. And the fella that pulled it down, okay, I'll restart this. One fella, older gentleman, he would pull it down. The other fella, he would shift the gears. And it was one of those gradual gears where you could pull it down and kind of carry it over the hill. And he was just, cruising. The other fella would shift all his gears and be like, and he would actually go over the hill a little faster. The fella that shifted the gears got better fuel economy than the fella that let it pull down. So shifting gears, keeping it in that optimal torque range, gets better fuel economy. And ironically, he had better performance too. So you know what? You get better performance and better fuel economy, but it's just keeping it in that sweet spot. But it is nice to be able to pull them down. That being said, the Cummins engine, you don't want to pull them right down to 1,000 RPM and lug them really hard, because that's where you get the bad harmonics. And anybody that's blown up a transmission with a 565 2050 torque Cummins knows there is such a thing as bad harmonics. And usually it means an input shaft blows up and it's non-warrantable. So, which is bad, because then it costs money. So yeah, that is another tip. Keep it in the sweet spot. And with that, your MX engine, of course, down speeding is a thing, and they make all their better torque down. What the heck is it? They like to run at like 11, 12, 1300 RPM. Well, yeah. Anyways, the MX engine likes to run slower like a cat did. Cummins engine likes to run a little bit quicker. So that's why quite often I'll run the Cummins engines a little bit higher geared maybe than the PACCAR engine, depending on the application, because, down speeding is great on highway. But if you're going to go in the bush and stuff, it's not going to make a big difference. So that's another thing. Another one is Aerodynamics. Now, interestingly enough, Aerodynamics actually, and this is where you guys could beat me up. Aerodynamics doesn't make a huge difference. I mean, it makes a difference, which is why we've got, the Epic packages and closeout packages and all this sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, I want to say that it's something like 1%. Maybe it's 5%. I don't know. I can't remember. I should have all my information ready before I do this. But, and it's significant. Obviously, it makes a difference when you can cut through the air. But in my neck of the woods, when you're packing 140,000 pounds, Aerodynamics going 50 kilometers up a hill, actually, they would go faster than that. But say you're doing 80, makes no difference. So Aerodynamics won't make as big a difference as the other things that I talked about, but they do make a difference. Does that make any sense? It doesn't make a difference, but it doesn't make a difference. It doesn't make a huge difference. And if you're lower speeds, it doesn't make a difference. But if you're pulling a van and you're cruising at 55, 58, say 60 mile an hour, yeah, it's absolutely going to make a difference, because everything does. Weight. Trucks that are hauling light loads are going to get better fuel economy than trucks hauling big loads. So anyways, let's see what some of you guys have to say. I haven't really been paying attention to the comments, which shame on me. Shame on me, Mike. Hello, Mike. Good morning from India. Good morning. Aish Kumar. I'm sorry. I don't want to beat up your name. I'm a terrible Englisher. Not very good at other languages either. What do you know about Scania torpedoes? How do you like? I have no idea about Scania torpedoes. I would like to know about Scania torpedoes though. Scania torpedoes is a great truck. I did build them back in the day. Well, that's cool. Did you see the Starvo Scania T1 model truck, which is from? Nope, I didn't see it. Sorry. Hi, Mike from the UK. Right on. Let's see, what else can we chat about here? Trucks have been getting 5 to 7 mile per hour for 40 years. The only that's changed is that you can maintain speeds over hilly terrain, which increases value to hours operating. This is true. Now, it's interesting because, and this is where we talk about that threshold to where, when you got big weights, there's fuel economy to get to a certain stage, and then it's really hard to get past that. Now, I've got trucks that have gone out and pulled vans for Purelator that have gotten almost 10 miles to the gallon and right around 10 miles to the gallon. And now it's a full aero truck, but it also has a moose bumper on the front. And you put a great big moose bumper on the front, it's probably not going to help its aerodynamics, just saying. But it actually had an efficiency Cummins X15, an 18 speed, and it was a 579. And it was like getting the best fuel economy out of their fleet, from what I understand. Better than the Detroits and Western Stars. I don't know if they had any Freightliners. I know they actually had some 389s in there, which is pretty cool. But yeah, and it's not to say that the Volvo's Freightliners and all them can't get decent fuel economy, but the 579 did fantastic. So hey Mike, did you go to South? No, I've never been to South Africa. Would like to go one day though. South Africa, have you seen fuel economy test on YouTube? Ever see the fuel economy? I have not seen the fuel economy test on YouTube. T600 mid-80s were the first ones. Yeah, the T600s were definitely kind of like the first aero trucks. But interestingly enough, back in the day, the Peterbilt CABOVER, the 372, was actually one of the best fuel economy trucks of that era. And you'd think, CABOVER truck getting good fuel economy, but if you look at it, the way that cab kind of sloped up in that over the trailer, like it was kind of cutting edge for its day. A little bit ugly, not gonna lie. There's, at the time people were like, yeah, it's a good looking truck. But yeah, they weren't the prettiest girl on the block. Ironically, I've seen some custom 372s and man, they can look really cool. Like, yeah, guy does them up right. They look cool, but there's not a lot of them around nowadays, unfortunately. But thank good there's still some 362s. Oh yeah. Still some 362s. So yeah, there's a couple tips on fuel economy. Not even necessarily on fuel economy, but just ways to save fuel. Shutting it off is huge. Another one is get yourself, depending on where you're at, if it's cold, you need a bunk heater. If it's hot, you need AC. And I think one of the hardest things to do down south is keep yourself from dying in the sleeper, for lack of a better term, because of the heat. And that's where getting an APU or Smart Air when you order a new truck can be huge. Now, the one thing I like about an APU over the others, now here again, it's like saving fuel, but it costs you money. Like up here in Canada, an APU right now, you're probably going to pay about $15,000. So call it, I don't know, $10,000 US. But the nice thing with the APUs is they will heat your cab, cool your cab, charge your batteries, and I guess that's all the big ones, and reduce wear and tear. And especially if you're living in your truck and you have lots of days where you got to do a reset and you're somewhere living in your truck, get an APU. Don't let your truck run, because not only are you going to rack up hours on your engine, and it's, like I said, it's hard on it to idle them. The APU burns very, very little fuel, which, it sounds obvious, but if you're speccing out a new truck, or if you've got an older truck and you want to give it as much life as possible, get an APU. In a big truck, with the amount of fuel we can burn, the amount of fuel you save will pay for that APU. And then you got all the nice cold AC that a guy needs. Because the one downside about even the Smart Air is they tell you things like pre-cool your cab. So you get it nice and cold before you stop, so it's easier for it to maintain it, and it runs off electricity. But I don't think, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you guys are down in the southern states, leave a note in the comments. Tell me what you think of Smart Air. But I don't know that it gets it that nice, crispy cold, so a guy can sleep. Certainly cooler. And I think they judge it, or they say that, basically it's good for a span of like 6 to 8 hours kind of thing. So I don't know. Just a thought. But it's still an option. You know what I mean? And if you can, just get some fans, crack a window. But yeah, don't idle. Dennis says Duke Kaboom has the best fuel economy now. That's true. That is very true. And that's kind of the I'm having that issue with Duke Kaboom, trying to figure out what engine I'm going to put in them, because an X15 is going to give it more resale value. It'd be cooler, let's face it. There's the popularity thing. But if I put a X13 or a X13, what the heck am I talking about? A C15 or a C13, the C13 is going to get better fuel economy probably. Some say the C15 will do fine if you're pulling light weights, which I would be doing, but it's a tough one because fuel is huge. Fuel is like, if you're spending $1,000 a day in fuel, just think about it. If you could save 10%, say you save 1%, you're burning 1,000 liters a day. That's like $10 a day, over 20 days, $200 a month, $200 a month that you make by saving just a little bit of fuel. Because all you'd have to do to save $20 a day basically is to save 10 liters of fuel, which really in a truck isn't that hard to do. So yeah, Duke Kaboom. Got to get that truck home. Snowed here yesterday. Yeah, fun fact. Kind of sucked, to tell you the truth. Put my summer tires on, and let me tell you, it was a sketchy drive into work. It's amazing what kind of a difference good tires make. And you know what? That should be a test. We should do that test with trucks. Try out a truck with snow tires on it, good traction snow tires, and then put summer tires on it and see what the difference is. It's crazy. And actually, I guess that could be another tip for fuel economy. Run 2 sets of tires. Especially if you're in a place that gets winter, get a decent winter tire so you got traction in the winter. And then in the summer, run a full-on summer tire that's got low rolling resistance, air them up nice and hard, and you'd be surprised at how much fuel you can save if you run the right tire. So, and that, that's really part of the greenhouse gas things too, is getting tires that help with lowering greenhouse gas emissions, which is actually, saving burning fuel, which I guess it's one of those things where the greenhouse gas rules kind of help you, even though they kind of hurt us sometimes. And the other thing I'd like to say is ordering a truck with low rolling resistant tires in the wintertime, not so good because then we have to change the tires. But that's where I think we should run 2 sets of tires, have a winter tire and a summer tire. And your summer tires are going to be fantastic for fuel economy, and your winter tires are going to be fantastic for traction, which is what you need so you don't have to chain up, because chaining up, it's kind of a dirty job. Shaka Gillis, is Peterbilt having issues getting the X15 for new builds? No, not having issues getting it. But like I said previously, at least in Canada anyways, we're on allocation to where they want us to sell a certain percentage of MX engines, because of course we're PACCAR. PACCAR owns Peterbilt and Kenworth, and PACCAR owns MX, so they want to sell all the MX engines that they can before they sell a competitor's engine. So, but we can still get Cummins. We can still get Cummins just fine as long as we sell that percent. As long as I sell that percentage of MX, I can get all the Cummins in the world I need. So, yeah, no issues getting Cummins, other than, like I say, the percentage factor. So, like for me here in Prince George, it's a little harder for me to sell. Well, I shouldn't say it's harder for me to sell the MX, but we sell fewer of them. So it's harder for me to meet my my market mix, because everything I do here is, we're big weights. 565, 2050 torque. Unfortunately, right now, the PACCAR MX does not have 2050 torque. Will it ever? Will they make a 16 liter, a 15 liter? Probably not. In all reality, we'll probably see horsepower levels drop in the coming years, and torque levels. I think we'll probably only see 2050 for more vocational purposes. I think it's going to be a lot harder to get it for anything that's not a vocational heavy haul. But that being said, I think we're in a transition where we'll see it shift from, our traditional engines. We'll cut back to try and reduce these greenhouse gas things. And at the end of the day, if fuel's $2 a liter or whatever, or $5 a liter, wherever you're at, or $6 a gallon for diesel, crazy, 650. Almost lost my train of thought. Saving fuel is critical because at the end of the day, we're going to have to do it whether we want to or not. So, but the interesting thing where I think we're in a transition, I think, now this is just Peterbilt Mike's opinion, I think the next big transition is going to be to essentially power generators. I think we'll see a shift to where not electric trucks. I think electric trucks will have a place, like say for in the cities and that, like say a garbage truck or a street sweeper or something where it's home every night, doesn't do a lot of miles in the big cities. You know what? They can be zero emissions electric in the big cities, whatever, but it's not going to work over the road. But I think having a small, say 8-liter engine, maybe an MX-11, running a generator, you know, set it at ultimate idle RPM or whatever, where it's just cruise along at say 2000 RPM, running the generator, and then have an electric motor powering our drivetrain. And perhaps that's why Cummins bought Meritor, because they know the future is going to be powered drivetrain. You know, when I say powered drivetrain, it's going to be like a hybrid axles with electric motors and stuff like that, with a little engine powering it that, you know, burns very little. That's my thought. Maybe hydrogen, maybe a little nuclear power. Wouldn't that be cool? A nuclear powered truck. I mean, granted, it'd be a little bit dangerous, but if you have this little tiny nuclear fusion reactor, I don't know. It's kind of like Star Trek stuff, but I hope that answers some questions. Ever heard about upgrading your mile per gallon power with a switchblade turbo? Nope, never heard of a switchblade turbo. To me, that kind of sounds like a variable geometry turbo, which Cummins and that already has, to where the vanes kind of turn to get you the, well, I think it helps with, it's the word I'm looking for, turbo lag. Anyways, it's kind of like variable geometry where they can adjust it for optimals. Where am I looking here? I hope you should these 3 countries. Yes, I would like to go. Thanks, Mike. My local dealer is trying to jam an MX-13 down my throat when I've requested Cummins. And you know what? It's, yeah. The only reason why they're trying to jam it down your throat is because of the market mix. It's a tough one. You know, it really is. I'm sold out for the year. So everything I have is sold. I have a waiting list for next year with already, I think, 100, just about 100 people on it. And I've got a stock MX tri-drive coming in. It'll be here like in a week. And it's not sold yet. But will it sell? Absolutely it will. But it's tough because, you know what? At the end of the day, it's a 13-liter engine. And when you're a 15-liter engine kind of place and 2050 torque, it's a little bit of a harder sell. But they certainly have their place. So they have had diesel electric for 70 years. Trains were that way initially. I believe trains are still diesel electric. But you know what? That's another thing that gets me. The trains belch out black smoke like crazy. Why don't they put DPFs on trains? Oh, right, because it's a government thing. Sorry, I just had to do that. Did you see some Fast and Furious movies? Yes, I have. The original ones. The later ones, I don't know. They seemed a little bit more cheesy to me. Power Stroke. Power Stroke versus Cummins X15 or Packer MX15. Well, they don't make a Power Stroke big truck engine, so it's going to be, yeah. But anyways, guys, just wanted to talk about some ways to save fuel because, you know, those few things, if you can save a couple bucks, how not? Why wouldn't you want to save a couple bucks? Shut your truck off. Don't worry about wearing out your starter. Don't worry about your engine getting cold. You know what? Don't worry about it. Also, don't worry about idling your engine forever because you ain't helping it. That's some good English. Hey, you ain't. Idling your engine, all it does is burn fuel and hurt your engine, really. The best thing you can do is run it. If you're not running it, shut it off. And you'd be surprised how much you save. And you know what? It'll be fine. And if you wear it out, let me know. And I'll say I'm wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong. Well, I know I'm not wrong. And while that sounds kind of conceited, but I don't know. Anyways, you know what I'm talking about. Shut your truck off and And yeah, just knock her down a little bit with speed. It's amazing. It's amazing how much fuel you can save, by knocking her down. If you don't want to knock her down, that's great. Just, you know what? It's just a suggestion. Because the difference between getting there or not, I mean, you're what, 15 minutes, maybe, if that, by say 5-10 kilometers an hour. But the, and see, the other kicker is when you slow it down a little bit, if you can keep your engine in that optimal torque horsepower range and less wind drag, even though wind drag isn't huge, but it all makes a difference. And that's a kicker. You take a whole bunch of little things and put them together. What do you got? You got a big thing. If you just try and do one big thing, anyways, you guys know what I'm talking about. Just trying to help you save money, because at the end of the day, we can only make so much money with the truck. So it's all about what you save. And, and if you can save 5%, that's 5% going towards your profit. And that's the other thing we don't think about. It's not a case of whether, you like to go slow or you like to be constantly shutting your truck off. It's a case of you might have to in order to survive, because trucking is tough. And I probably don't need to tell you guys that, but it's tough. So everything you can save is going to make a difference to your bottom line at the end of the month, at the end of the year. Could be the difference between your survival or not survival. And that's a scary thing. But you know what? You do it, save the fuel with your truck, make the profit with your company, and then go buy yourself a hot rod. Go buy yourself a Corvette or a Camaro with a ZL1 Camaro. Those things are awesome. And have fun in your sports car, but save money when you're trucking so that you can buy toys, because toys are fun, especially cars that go fast. So, about the 1967 Ford Mustang Eleanor. Oh yes, that is one wicked car. And I'm not really a Mustang guy. I know. I'm not really a Mustang guy. I don't mind the Mustang. The Mustangs are kind of cool, but I'm a Corvette guy. You know what? I always love Corvette. Well, that and Lamborghinis, but let's face it, I probably ain't going to get a Lamborghini, but you never know. There was a $70 million lottery here on the weekend and I didn't win. So still not getting a Lamborghini, but, anyways, guys, I've been yammering on for 32 minutes, so I should probably let you go, get back to work, drink my Joe. And you guys have any questions before I go? What's happening with the trucks? Well, let me tell you what's happening with the trucks. I got to get Duke Kaboom. I feel like a broken record. I got to get Duke Kaboom back. I pretty much have low and slow ready to go, although I ran into some issues changing some water lines on them. One of them started leaking doing road testing, so I've got to get finish that. And it was so snowy on Sunday when I was trying to snowy and windy. I didn't want to put the cab up for fear that the cab would blow down on my head, because it was a little sketch. So I didn't get low and slow tidied up on the weekend. And this weekend I have a sales meeting, so I can't work on trucks this weekend, which is a stinker. And I can't go get Duke Kaboom this weekend because I'm not going to be in town. Flying to the coast for a sales meeting. So that's that. I did, however, start working on Stubby. Stubby's in the shop, pulled the wiring harness out of it. I've got some videos coming up showing some of that. And my actually, I guess I have 3 number 1 projects. I've got sales meeting in Vegas would be wicked, let me tell you. Yeah, could be dangerous though. So we got Duke Kaboom. Got to get a new engine for Duke Kaboom, so I look forward to doing that this summer. I'm going to get a new transmission in Stubby, get them up and running, and I also want to start the big build on K2. So, and I'm still looking for a rear clip for Kenny. So, not looking real hard, but I'm looking. It's I don't know. It's just gotta be right. So, anyways, guys, that's it for me. Hope you have a great day. This was Tech Talk Tuesday, Peterbilt Mike, and this Thursday I got a new video coming out. Can't remember which one it's going to be, but thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate y'all, and hope you guys have a great day. And anything you can do to save fuel economy, I hope it helped. And take care. We'll see you in the next one. Okay, signing off. Peterbilt Mike is signing off. End stream. Oh, and hey, Gentry and Sons Trucking, did you check out his live he did the other day? And when I say the other day, I mean yesterday, of the Freightliner CABOVER with the stainless trailer with the reefer on? Yeah, that looks cool. Yeah, single headlight. Thanks, Mike. That's it. Now it's 10 p.m. night in India. So goodbye. And I love your live videos. Thanks for tuning in. I'm glad you enjoy it. I know there's not a lot of people on the live today, but you know what? Well, I mean, I guess guys can watch it when it's not live. It'd be, what would it be? It would be like a rerun, kind of like Gilligan's Island, a rerun. And I like doing it this time because you know what? It's 10 p.m. in India and you guys can watch. So that's cool. How much is diesel over here? In Canada right now, it's $1.95 a liter, I believe. And in the US, last I saw, it was about $6 something a gallon in California. Anyways, tuning out. Have a good day, guys. Love you like love you in a non-gay kind of way. I know it's not politically correct, but I'm not really a politically correct kind of guy. Just real. See you later, guys. Take care. Thanks for watching.